Hey everyone, welcome to the video. Let's go over the 8-game NBA slate for today on Draftkings. It's a pretty good slate for Sunday. Usually Sunday slates are pretty gross, but this one's looking pretty good, so I am looking forward to it. But before we continue, as always, if you guys could just leave a like, and if you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. Really helps me out. Really appreciate it. You also follow me over on Twitter, MattCrispinell16. And if you support over on Patreon, it's much appreciated. I only need a couple more patrons to get 100, which is awesome, which is my original goal on Patreon that I have on there. So that'd be cool to set a new goal. So I do appreciate everyone that does support me over on there. You get access to any of the extra content that I put out every single day or every single week, just depending on the sport. The big thing I have going over there is NASCAR, which if you're watching this today, which is on Sunday, which you obviously are, because it's 12 a.m. that I'm recording this right now, there's a race today. I have all of my content posted over there. You can check out my YouTube video that I posted a couple of hours ago. And then I have my article over there, my projections, data sheet, cheat sheet, all that stuff, my Discord chat. So whenever you sign up on Patreon, I'll put you into my Discord chat. All that's available in the link in the description below. We also have MLB coming up in like 18 days, which I'm very, very excited for. And then we have obviously NBA every single night until the season's over. So yeah, that's all we got to look forward to. So like I said, if you're interested, hit that link in the description below and it'll take you right there. And it's easy to figure out from there. Alright, so without further ado, let's get into today's video. We're going to lose an hour's sleep tonight, so hopefully I can get through this video quicker so I can get to bed so I don't wake up at like 11 in the morning. Alright, so up top, we have Russell Westbrook at 10,000. Now, there's a couple of other players other than Russell Westbrook. There is Luka Doncic, you got James Harden, and obviously Giannis is not playing. He still says doubtful, so I'm assuming he's not going to play. So Russell Westbrook, he's looking like my favorite spend-up option. I almost had Luka listed here, but I feel like I'm just going to want to play one of these spend-up guys. I have no problems at all if you want to play Harden or if you want to play Luka Doncic, but I'm just picking one here. If I had to pick one, I'm going with Russell Westbrook at 10K. He had his rest day yesterday, so he's going to be fresh, good to go for this game versus Orlando. And now, I know it's not the best matchup in the world versus Orlando, nor is it the best game environment, but we've seen guards do well versus Orlando. We saw CJ McCollum drop nearly 60 fantasy points versus these guys, so I'm not really too scared here. And we know Russell Westbrook's got insane upside every single night. He's a triple-double machine. Well, I guess I shouldn't say machine, but he's got the upside for it every single night. Back in OKC, he was a triple-double machine almost every night, but you know, playing alongside James Harden kind of hurts that a little bit. But he's kind of taken over the team this second half of the year. I mean, early part of the year it was the James Harden show. Now it's kind of the Russell Westbrook show, and I feel more confident playing Russell Westbrook than I do James Harden these days. And he also comes in pretty cheap every night compared to James Harden. So, yeah, I like Russell Westbrook quite a bit, especially coming off that rest day. We know that the Houston Rockets play fast, the Magic play slow, but playing in Houston, I think they'll dictate the pace here. So I think the Magic are going to be the ones playing up pace instead of the Rockets playing down to their pace. But yeah, on the season, he's at 1.4 points per minute, 34.4% usage rate. That number's just gone up as the year's gone on. That's why I'm saying he's kind of taking over the team at this point, because earlier in the year, I want to say he was sitting around 29%, 30%. It's gone all the way up to 34.4%. So, yeah, Russell Westbrook, obviously, he's been balling out, and I like him a lot, 10K. So, I think he's at a good price point, and I certainly have interest in Russell Westbrook. Right below him in the same game, we have Nikola Vucevic at 8,900. He still seems a bit too cheap, and we don't have Evan Fournier playing. Obviously, Jonathan Isaac's been out forever. So I just don't understand why he's not above 9K. He's been in this 8K range, and it's just a bit too cheap. The guy's been playing very, very well. Now he gets a good matchup versus Houston, who really doesn't have any big men, and you know they're going to struggle versus an athletic big man like Nikola Vucevic. The guy can shoot threes. He can, beat you down low. He can beat you in the mid-range. And, he's going to get his rebounds every single night. So I think Nikola Vucevic's a very, very good play. Probably one of my favorite plays on the slate as of right now. And get a big pace-up spot for the Magic, which I always love guys in pace-up spots. And his numbers on the season have been great. 1.3 points per minute, 26.1% usage rate. If you look at the DVP chart, Houston is not a very good defensive squad. They rank bottom 10 in the league just overall. And they rank 15th versus big men. But obviously a lot of that was with Clint Capella, who's a better defender. And they're kind of soft down low now, and pretty much just everywhere on defense. So, Nikola Vucevic, probably one of my favorite plays in the entire slate as of right now at 11:45 p.m. the night before. Sabonis, he comes in at 8,700. So basically, the reason I have Sabonis here is because the entire Pacers roster is pretty much questionable. We know Malcolm Brogdon's not going to be playing. Victor Oladipo's questionable. Doug McDermott's questionable. T.J. Warren's questionable. Obviously, Jeremy Lamb's out. Trying to remember if I'm forgetting anybody else, but yeah, it's pretty much their entire team is questionable or doubtful. So Sabonis, he's going to have the offensive load here. He had a pretty good game last time out, 44 fantasy points. Started out the game really, really hot. Kind of faded late, but I certainly like Sabonis here. And if you look at his numbers on the season, he's at 1.23 points per minute, 23.4% usage rate. If you take all those guys off the court, obviously that number gets closer to 1.3 points per minute and a little bit closer to 30% usage rate. So I think Sabonis would be a tremendous play. Now the matchup versus Dallas, I wouldn't say is great, but they don't really have a big a guy that can really contend with him down low. But they do rank 9th versus centers, 11th versus power forwards. But I still think not Vucevic, Sabonis is a pretty solid play. So don't mind him with that price tag of 8,700. Devin Booker, so DeAndre Ayton's not going to be playing, nor is Kelly Oubre. So that kind of makes Devin Booker a tremendous play. And he's also going up against Milwaukee without Giannis. So that's just a big hit on their squad defensively overall because they're a pretty good defensive team. But you take a guy like Giannis off the court, it just kind of hurts Milwaukee in that aspect. I mean, they're still fine offensively because, Chris Middleton steps up and so does Eric Bledsoe and some other guys. But, it just hurts their team defensively. So Devin Booker, he should have a good game here because when you take Ayton off the court, you take Kelly Oubre, his numbers get pretty darn good. He gets close to 1.3 points per minute with about a 34% usage rate. So his numbers are very strong when they're not playing. And this game's also going to be a track meet. We know Milwaukee plays fast. They're the fastest paced team in the league. And Portland. Phoenix plays fast too. They're 10th, so it's going to be a really, really fast-paced game. And there's no total out yet, but I'd have to imagine this is going to have one of the higher totals because when you take Giannis off, like I said, it just hurts the team defensively. So I expect Phoenix to put up some points. And both teams are missing some of their best players. So, that just opens up some values. I think this is probably going to be the top game stack of the slate because you got lots of good plays in this game. Middleton, Brook Lopez, Eric Bledsoe, Devin Booker, Saric. You could even play Baines, Mikal Bridges. There's a lot of good plays in this game. So, expect a lot of the ownership on this slate to go there. All right, so right below Devin Booker, we have Jimmy Butler. He comes in at 8,100. He had a pretty good game last time out versus New Orleans, and I think he can do the exact same here versus Washington. Another good matchup. Also another pace-up spot for the Miami Heat as they're 18th in pace of play, while Washington is 6th. And if you look at the DVP chart, this is an elite matchup for Jimmy Butler. Washington is the 3rd worst defensive team this season. They rank 24th versus shooting guards and 28th versus small forwards. And Jimmy Butler, he's always a safe cash game play, especially when he's around this low 8K, high 7K price range. And he's at 1.21 points per minute with a 25.3% usage rate. So Jimmy Butler, I think he's a very, very safe cash game play. Same with Bam Adebayo. He's only 100 less than Jimmy Butler. Pretty similar numbers. Not as good point per minute wise. 1.17 points per minute. But they pretty much play the same amount of minutes. And they're probably going to score near the same amount of fantasy points. Now, if I had to pick one, I'm going Jimmy Butler. But I don't think you can go wrong with either. If you look at the DVP chart, Washington does rank 25th versus centers. So Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler, both excellent plays and both on the same team. Christian Wood, the guy just does not know how to have bad games. It doesn't matter the matchup. It's pretty much just due to the fact he's a good point per minute player, and there's no one left on Detroit. You got guys like, who's all off? Derrick Rose, Reggie Jackson, Blake Griffin, Andre Drummond, Markieff Morris, Luke Kennard. It's really just Christian Wood out there. I mean, I know there's a couple of other guys that can play basketball a little bit, but it's pretty much Christian Wood. He's going to play mid-30s minutes. And I mean, if you look at his numbers on the season, 1.16 points per minute, 22.5% usage rate. You take all those guys off the court, we're talking nearly 1.3 points per minute with about a 25-ish% usage rate. And the matchup versus New York's not amazing because they're not the worst defensive team in the world, but they do rank 22nd versus power forward. So individually, it's a pretty good matchup for Christian Wood. So I don't think you can go wrong with him in cash games or tournaments. Looks like one of my favorite plays on the slate is going to be DeMar DeRozan, though. He comes in at 7,300, so there's a lot of good mid-range plays. So I don't even think you have to spend all the way up on this slate. I mean, I know there's some good value plays, so you certainly can. But you got guys like Vucevic, Sabonis, Booker, Butler, Bayu, Wood, DeRozan. I mean, there's a lot of good plays that are in the mid-range, so I don't even hate going balanced lineup. But you can pretty much get whoever you want from this mid-range, so I'm liking this slate a lot. Yeah, DeRozan, I feel like he's pretty much a lock. He's going up against Cleveland, one of the worst defensive teams in the league. If you look at the DVP chart, Cleveland, they're second worst, and they rank 30th versus shooting guards and 29th versus small forwards. So, although I believe DeRozan actually, he started the power forward position last game. I think that's what it said. But, yeah, Cleveland, they also rank 22nd versus that. But DeRozan's not really a power forward. But, yeah, I think he's a tremendous play, and he did really, really good last game versus Brooklyn. Did not play in the fourth quarter, but had 43 points in 3 quarters, which is not that bad at all. He was on his way to smashing. Still finished the game with a fire emoji, which always makes me feel a little bit better. But yeah, DeRozan versus Cleveland, he should be able to smash at this price tag. I'd honestly consider him around 8K, so 7,300 is just a complete steal to me. On the season, he's at 1.14 points per minute, 26.6% usage rate. We know LaMarcus Aldridge isn't going to be playing, so if you take Aldridge off the court, DeRozan's about 1.24 points per minute with about a 32% usage rate. So DeRozan, probably one of my favorite plays on the entire slate at that price tag. Julius Randle going up against Detroit, who is just really doesn't have anyone that can defend anyone defensively at this point, and they rank 20th versus power forwards, 24th versus center. So this is a good spot for Julius Randle. So I think he's a pretty solid play at 7,200. Seems a bit too cheap on the season. 1.15 points per minute, 27.6% usage rate. Julius Randle, I think he's a pretty solid play. Colin Sexton, he just continues to have good games. He is really playing well recently. And obviously no Kevin Porter and no Darius Garland's helping him. Now, I think they're both listed as questionable, so we'll see if they end up playing. They're probably not on a Sunday, so I'd have to imagine they're going to be out. So Colin Sexton's probably going to play another about 40 minutes again. He's just playing huge minutes, and he just continues to put up 40-plus points. So just ride the hot hand here versus San Antonio, a team that really struggles versus guards so far this season. They rank 21st versus point guards and 23rd versus shooting guards. So yeah, I like Colin Sexton. Now the price is getting up there. It feels a little bit weird paying that much for Sexton, but a guy that's going to play around 40 minutes and he's at 0.93 points per minute. Take all those other guys off the court, he's about a point per minute guy. I mean, he's pretty good play numbers-wise if you're just looking at the numbers. So don't mind him, and about a 30% usage rate when you take those guys off the court as well. Norman Powell, 6,600. The guy just does not know how to have a bad game recently. Now, this is only contingent on if Fred VanVleet plays or not. So if Fred VanVleet's out, he's probably going to play close to 40 minutes, which, I mean, he just balled out in the last game. I think he had like 50 fantasy points. Just played very, very well. But if Fred VanVleet's in, I'm probably going to have to pass on Powell because of that price tag. But this is a good matchup as a shooting guard / small forward versus Sacramento. I mean, they struggle versus those positions exactly. They're good versus big men, but they rank 22nd versus shooting guards and 16th versus small forwards. So this is a pretty good matchup for Norman Powell, and he's been good in the season, 0.94 points per minute. Take VanVleet off the court, that gets around a point per minute. So Powell, he's kind of the guy you have to keep your eyes on for Fred VanVleet news, because if VanVleet's in, no thank you. If he's out, yeah, I don't mind Norman Powell. I think he's a pretty solid play. But Chris Middleton, he is probably the best play on the slate. I've been saying that. I said that about DeRozan, but I guess I should have mentioned Chris Middleton first, because Chris Middleton's pretty much the best play on the slate, as is his teammate Eric Bledsoe, who I thought I forgot to put him on here. But yeah, Eric Bledsoe and Chris Middleton are by far the best plays on the slate, with Giannis listed as doubtful, because they're just way too cheap. I mean, I know at some points in the season we were playing Chris Middleton around mid 8K when Giannis was out. So at 6,500, this is pretty much a layup. Now I think I have. I hope I don't. No, never mind. I'm sorry. Just forgot what I was just about to say. I was just thinking out loud. But yeah, Chris Middleton, he's an excellent play. 6,500. I mean, this is a layup. He's going to be about 100% in cash games, but you're just going to have to eat that chalk. On the season, he's at 1.23 points per minute with a 25.9% usage rate. If you take Giannis off the court, his numbers read 1.44 points per minute. 1.44 in a 32% usage rate. Those numbers are elite. I mean, 1.44 points per minute is literally the best out of anybody on this player pool. And the guy's 6,500, and he gets a good matchup versus Phoenix. There's nothing not to like here. Chris Middleton, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that about DeRozan as the best play on the slate. Chris Middleton is the best play on the slate, as is Eric Bledsoe. Then I think DeRozan's right up there with them. So yeah, Chris Middleton, excellent play. Absolutely love it. He's just mispriced. Alfred Payton, 6,200. He's another guy that seems a little bit too cheap. I mean, the guy's got a 40-point upside. He's been actually doing it consistently. I know he had a couple of bad games recently, but I believe he just scored 40 fantasy points not too long ago. Now, the game environment here is not that great, but Detroit just kind of sucks defensively. I already showed you guys the DVP chart. Not a good defensive squad. Not terrible versus point guards, but I'm not going to shy away from him. And on the season, he's at 1.07 points per minute, 19% usage rate, which isn't great, but I don't mind Alfred Payton. Now, he's not my most favorite player in the world. Much rather play a couple of guys below him, but I put him on here just because I like the matchup versus Detroit. Fred VanVleet, as long as he's good to go, which I don't even know anymore. I mean, he's questionable every day, and then he ends up being listed as doubtful right before the game starts. So who knows if he's going to play. But he's only 6,200, so if he's good to go and gets mid-30s minutes at 6,200, that's a pretty darn good play. And if you look at the DVP chart, Sacramento, they do struggle versus shooting guards. They're ranked 22nd versus the position, so you'd certainly have to have some interest in Fred VanVleet on the season. Well, he's at 1.03 points per minute with a 22% usage rate. He's going to play a lot of minutes, so VanVleet would certainly be on my radar, as would Serge Ibaka, who comes in at 6K. First game back, he redeemed himself because the game before that was one of the worst games I've ever seen in my life. But he did pretty well last game with 37 fantasy points, so he looked pretty healthy, looked good to go. And if Marc Gasol misses, because Marc Gasol is also listed as questionable, you certainly got to have some interest in Ibaka, and I'll also bump up his minutes because I believe I have Gasol listed for some minutes right now. So if you take those minutes out, Ibaka's probably going to get around 30, 32 minutes, which I know it's a bad matchup versus Sacramento. They're very good versus big men. If you look at the DVP chart, they rank, first versus power forward, sixth versus center. So yeah, tough matchup, but I like the price point. He's at 1.11 points per minute, 24.2% usage rate. As long as Gasol's out, I think Ibaka is a pretty solid play given that price point. Terrence Ross, he comes in at 5,800. Like the pace-up spot versus Houston. This is a game environment that suits him well in pace-up spots. He should be able to jack up a lot of shots. And that's the only thing he does, really. He scores a lot of points. But if he can score a lot of points here, we'll certainly have some interest. 0.88 points per minute in the season, 22.8% usage rate. But if you take Evan Fournier off the court, he gets around 1 point per minute, and obviously the usage rate goes up. So Terrence Ross, I don't mind. It's a good matchup versus Houston. They rank, 26 versus shooting guards. So Terrence Ross, certainly on my radar for tournaments. Not sure if I'd get there in cash games, but I don't mind him in tournaments. Dario Saric, 5,600. His price is getting up there, but certainly with Giannis being out, this boosts his matchup because he would have saw a decent portion of Giannis. Considering they're forward slash power forward. But obviously, you take Giannis off, that loosens it up a little bit for Sarge. And he played really well last game, had over 40 fantasy points. And obviously, he's getting a boost without DeAndre Ayton on the court and Kelly Oubre on the season, 0.89 points per minute. But if you take both those guys off the court, he's pretty much about a point per minute guy. So Sarge, I think he's fine. I don't like his price point at 5,600 because there's a couple of other guys I like a little bit better, but I wouldn't hate it, especially if you're game stacking this game up. I totally understand. Miles Turner. So if all those guys miss the game that are questionable, if you rain the numbers, he's at 1.6 points per minute. Yeah, 1.6. That's pretty insane. Not the biggest sample size in the world, but still 1.6 points per minute. It's pretty good. And that's a big bump from 0.92 points per minute. So if all those guys miss again, you can certainly look Miles Turner's way. Now the matchup versus Dallas is not great, but I still think he'll be fine. So Miles Turner, I don't hate him. But the guy I really want to talk about is Eric Bledsoe. He's probably, him and Chris Middleton are going to be like 100% on cash games. So, I mean, don't try to get cute and fade them. I wouldn't even fade them in tournaments because they're just such good plays. But yeah, I don't see how they don't smash here. I mean, 5,400 is just way too cheap. I'd play Bledsoe at near 7K to be honest. I'd probably play him at 7,500 without Giannis on the court. So 5,400 is just it's kind of laughable. But he's probably going to play around 30 minutes. I think I have to bump his minutes up. I feel like I might have some Giannis. I feel like I might have Giannis projected for minutes because I think I'd have to bump Chris Middleton up to 35 and then Eric Bledsoe up to probably around 32. So I don't mind the minutes there, but Bledsoe, I mean his numbers are so good without Giannis on the court. Just on the season, he's at 1.16 points per minute, at 23.9% usage rate. If you take Giannis off the court, those numbers go all the way up to 1.45 points per minute, 1.45 and about a 32.4% usage rate. So him and Chris Middleton are just absolute smash plays. Absolutely love them. That's where you're starting your lineups tomorrow. Then you can pretty much build from there. I think Eric Bledsoe, Chris Middleton, maybe DeMar DeRozan is really good starting points to your lineups tomorrow. And it's not even breaking the bank either, so you can do pretty much whatever you want. So it's not like I'm just telling you guys to play all the most expensive guys. Trey Lyles, 5,100. No LaMarcus Aldridge, you can certainly look his way. He's going to play around 30 minutes, and the matchup versus Cleveland's really what gets me here. They're just so bad defensively. They're ranked 23rd versus centers, 22nd versus power forwards. He's about a point per minute guy when you take Aldridge off the court. Not quite there, but he's close enough, around 0.9-ish points per minute. The usage rate sucks, but he's been playing pretty well. I think he can get you around 30 fantasy points at 5,100, and I don't think we're going to be complaining about that. Chetty Osman, 4,800. He's probably going to play around 40 minutes. That might be a low minute projection because he's going to play huge minutes as long as Kevin Porter and Darius Garland are out. Now, he kind of sucks. Just to put it nicely. Only at 0.72 points per the season, 16% usage rate. Those numbers go up a little bit if you take those guys off the court. But the main thing we like here is the minutes, because if you're going to play around 40 minutes, I don't care who you're playing against, you're probably going to, unless you're like PJ Tucker, you're probably going to be okay as long as you're pretty cheap, and that's what Chetty Osman is. He's still below 5K. Matchup versus San Antonio is pretty solid. They rank 19th versus small forwards, 17th versus power forwards, so I think Chetty Osman's fine lineup filler. Not a guy I'm going on my way to play, but certainly a guy of interest. Another guy you're probably going to be starting out your cash game lineups with is Brook Lopez. So Brook Lopez, Chris Middleton and Eric Bledsoe is probably where you're starting your lineups, just because, no Giannis, and they're all way too cheap. And then, again, DeMar DeRozan I like as a lot as well. But, yeah, Brook Lopez, Middleton, Bledsoe, probably your starting points tomorrow, tournaments and cash games. But he's just way too cheap, and his numbers on the season, 0.96 points per minute, 17% usage rate. You take Giannis off the court, he's at 1.06 points per minute with over a 20% usage rate. So Brook Lopez, he's a fantastic play. We know Phoenix sucks down low, so we just saw Hassan Whiteside abuse them. Now, he's not as good as Hassan Whiteside is, but hey, he's going to play around 30 minutes, and no Giannis, so we certainly got to have some interest in Brook Lopez, and we know Phoenix struggles down low. Aaron Holiday, again, if all these guys can miss the game again, Holiday did draw the start of the last game. I was assuming it was going to be TJ McConnell. Ended up not drawing the start. So I pivoted to Aaron Holiday for the guy who I liked the most between those two. And Aaron Holiday had a fine game. I think he scored 24 fantasy points. Should get around 30 minutes again. Now, the matchup versus Dallas isn't great. If you look at the DVP chart, they do rank, if I can find them, 10th versus point guards, 8th versus shooting guards. The matchup's kind of sucky, but I think he can pay off his price tag at 4,300. Closer to a point per minute guy when you take those guys off the court, around 0.93 points per minute. So Aaron Holiday would be fine just because he's going to get minutes and he's cheap. Matthew Dellavedova, so he actually paid off last night. He had 36 fantasy points. How about that? We saw Aaron Baines go like 23x the night before, and then Dellavedova went about a little bit above 10x, maybe like 11x. Yeah, I don't know why I'm so sorry there, but yeah, Dellavedova smashed, and I played him, and I was pretty happy about it. I know I had one friend. He asked me one of my favorite plays. I was like, Matthew Dellavedova, and he doesn't like pay attention too much to DFS, and he's like, why Matthew Dellavedova? And I was like, well, the guards are out, and he's probably gonna play 30 minutes. And I said, expect 17 points. If he gets anything other than that, consider yourself lucky. Well, he more than doubled that, so I guess we got pretty lucky. But he was playing pretty well. Racked up the assists. I want to say he had like 14 assists. I don't know. I know he had over 12. But yeah, he's racking up the assists. Didn't do a lot of scoring, but he's doing a little bit of everything in the stat sheet. And just really, when there's not many guys out for your team, you're kind of forced to do that kind of stuff. So Dellavedova, as long as those guys are out again, he should play about 30 minutes, and he's only 3,200, and this is a good matchup versus San Antonio. So yeah, I would think Dellavedova would be a pretty strong play. They rank, bottom? Yeah, 21st versus point guards, 23rd versus shooting guards. So yeah, Dellavedova, I certainly have a lot of interest at this price point. He played really well last game, and this is an even better matchup for him. So you like Delly. And Marvin Williams, he is the min price on Milwaukee, on DraftKings, and he actually overtook the Ersan Ilyasova spot. So usually this is where we lock in Ersan Ilyasova, but he kind of overtook Ilyasova's spot, and Marvin Williams is going to see probably close to 30 minutes in this game, and he's only 3K, so I don't see why we wouldn't like him here. No Giannis, and he's only 3K, so there's just so many good Bucks plays. You can play Williams, you can play Brook Lopez, you can play Chris Middleton, you can play Eric Bledsoe. They're all good plays. I mean, you can even, I don't even know DiVincenzo's price. I probably should have put him on here, to be honest. But I guess I won't go back and do that. Just know Dante DiVincenzo's fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with him. He's 4,800. It's kind of whatever. But yeah, Marvin Williams, he's cheap. He's going to get a lot of minutes. No Giannis, so yeah, you can certainly look his way. It's kind of unfortunate because I do like playing Ilyasova whenever Giannis is out, but you just can't really trust him to play. So sucks because Ilyasova was good, but Marvin Williams is still a fine option. So and he really doesn't have too much of a sample size on this team without Giannis on the court, so I'm not even going to bring it up. But I think he could 10x. He honestly could. So don't mind Marvin Williams at all. Good matchup versus Phoenix, and I think that's a pretty solid game stack. And it's pretty much going to be it for this player-by-player breakdown. I apologize if I keep doing I don't know. I'm like the source. I have like the source neck in the county right now. I don't know what's going on. But before we get out of here, I do want to talk about the sponsor of the show, OverlayDFS.com. All right, so if you guys are new to the channel, this is OverlayDFS.com. It's a really fun website to play on. It's a nice breath of fresh air compared to DraftKings. I love DraftKings, but it's a real grind. You got to build lineups. You got salary cap restrictions. You got to worry about what contests you enter. You got to build projections, or at least I do. So it's tough over there. I mean, I enjoy it. I do pretty well over there, but it is tough. I will say that. So if you're looking for a more casual experience to supplement with your DraftKings play, I do recommend OverlayDFS.com. It's just a pick'em based website, guys. It's as simple as that. Sometimes it's nice to just relax and you do a nice pick'em based roster, if that's what you want to call it. So they give you about 20 matchups and you pick your 12 favorite. So for example, if you thought Sexton was going to outscore Larry Nance one night, you pick Colin Sexton. If you thought Embiid was going to outscore Bradley Beal, you pick Joel Embiid. If you thought Luka was going to outscore Trae Young, you pick Trae Young, guys. It's as simple as that. And if you finish in the top 10% of the contest, you win 9 extra money. And I think that's the best thing about Overlay DFS is their payout structure. I mean, if you finish in the top 10%, you 9 extra money. The 9 extra money on DraftKings, you got to win the whole thing sometimes. And even if you do win the whole tournament, sometimes you still don't even 9 extra money. So I love the payout structure here. And they also have a jackpot going that's getting close to $17,000, guys. $17,000 to go 12-0 in your picks. I mean, I know it's harder than it sounds, but guys have been close every single night. I know someone went 11-1 tonight, I think I was saying last time I looked. So people have been close. So someone's going to win this for $17,000, so why not you? Do not miss out on the chance to win. And also have some cool challenges where if you go 0-12 in your picks, they'll give you $500. And if you lose 20 days in a row, they will refund every single dollar they deposited. Not like 20 consecutive days in a row, but say you played once a week for 20 weeks in a row and you lost every single time, they'll refund every single dollar they deposited. So check it out, guys. They're basically daring you guys to lose. I don't have a promo code or anything to sign up or anything. Just go over there, sign up, have fun, and check it out. Alright, guys, that's going to be it for this video. Hope it was helpful. If it was, remember to leave a like. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. Really helps me out. Really appreciate it. Check out my NASCAR content. I really do recommend it. I put a lot of work into it, so check it out. And yeah, it's going to be it for the video. Enjoy Sunday, and yeah, have a good day. I think it's going to be warm in Ohio today, which is something you can really never say, so that's going to be awesome. So yeah, should be a good day. Alright, I'm out.